Good morning, everybody. It is Natasha and Rebecca here for more very interesting stuff about words. But welcome if you're watching on Consciousness Rising, Truth Pills, or Devon Mackenzie friends. How are you, Natasha?
I'm alright. I've got a bad back, so I'm going to moan a lot probably. And go,
Are you
even weirder than normal.
Groan. Lots of groaning today, guys.
Lots of weird ticky body movements that I like to do.
All right, we'll look out for those.
So be aware.
Yeah. Right, today we're going to talk about Christmas. And we had a few chats yesterday because it ended up, what you discovered is really quite...
It's very complex.
Very complex.
Very complex. So I've tried to simplify it and not have too much reference to the Bible and all that sort of stuff. I've tried to keep it with words and facts and history and connection.
It is a biblical festival, it's a Christian festival, so I suppose it was quite difficult to avoid.
Yeah, I've kind of gone into
malarkey.
maybe more the spiritual side of it and perhaps how...
Ooh, a bit of woo.
A little bit of woo. And I'm not very wooey, so it might all come out a bit strange.
I love woo.
And interestingly, with Christmas as well, I mean, it's something that's never, ever resonated with me. Ever. I've never...
You don't like Christmas, do
never
you,
liked it, never understood it, never... I mean, why do people all get dressed up and then sit with their family that they see all the time in their posh clothes? That was the first thing. I used to my mum used to come down and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I find it really weird. I don't like presents. They scare me. It's really weird. I hate gaudy,
baubles.
Oh, and tint. I hate all of that. Christmas trees should be growing outside. Turkey, what the hell's that all about? It's never resonated. I mean, I used to get accused of being like a child abuser because I didn't have Christmas trees and didn't celebrate it.
What, when your children were younger?
When they were younger. And I was just like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't like it because I don't like the materialism of it. I think it's just got really, actually very grotesque now.
It is. It's vulgar.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And it to me, it was originally about solstice. And it's sort of become this excuse for everybody to get themselves into debt, to buy their children all this sort of...
And all that energy into all those corporations and all that money that they're all making. All the people that we're trying to fight against, who are trying to control our lives. We've been feeding them. Yeah,
and how many people buy most of their presents online on Amazon and stuff, and you're just feeding the beast, man. You're feeding the beast. Yes.
Right, so Christmas originally is a pagan, or as you like to put it, more of a Celtic, which is a nicer terminology for it.
Yeah, because I just think pagan brings connotations of a religion now, but actually it was just at that time it was just different Celtic tribes across Great Britain.
And it was a holiday for worshipping the sun. And nowadays Jesus is a metaphor for the sun. And it's worth thinking, so Christmas basically, it's celebrating polarity, if you like. So you've got lightness, darkness, masculine, feminine, good and evil is, from what I've looked into, is how it seems to be. It depends how it's portrayed and how you live it out, I presume, is a way of putting it. So there is a satanic and an occult ideology connected to Christmas, without a shadow of a doubt, but we need to remember that the word occult doesn't necessarily equate to evil. It basically means hidden, concealed, or secret.
Yeah.
So, just because the word occult is connected to
so
things...
you can have good occultist practice, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. So I suppose the easiest or the best way to start would be to break down the word Christmas itself, wouldn't it? Nice and easy. So the Old English term would have been Christ, which is Christes, and then mus, I think it's pronounced, which is an M and then an A and an E stuck together. And then an SSE. And it was connected to the medieval custom of the Roman Catholic Church called Mass, which of course is a ceremony celebrated at midnight on the eve of the 25th of December, midnight Mass.
I've been to a few of them in my time.
Yeah, I think I might have intrigued... Oh, I'm coming out of it.
Yeah, you always
I always do. I'm always a bit weird.
Get back in, girl.
Get back in the frame. Yeah, I think I did go to one because you used to get... Is that the Christingle? Or was that something else?
Well, that's in Church of England.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was brought up a Catholic, so...
Oh, aren't you lucky?
Oh, I was so lucky, so lucky. But I used to like midnight mass because it meant I didn't have to go to the boring one the next day.
Oh, I see. It's a bit more exciting going out at night.
Yeah, when you're a little girl and you have to stay up till midnight.
Yeah.
And then I do like, I did like the singing. That was the best bit of church for me when I was a little girl.
Interesting. So the word mass, the definition, is a public celebration of the Eucharist.
Yeah.
I said that right?
Eucharist.
In the Roman Church. Mm-hmm. It also derives from Vulgar Latin, the word messa, which means Eucharist service. And then also late Latin word missa, M-I-S-S-A, which means dismissal. So that's mus. And then Christ is derived from the Greek word Christos, meaning the anointed. So based on these definitions, the word for Christmas means, I can never say that word.
Eucharistic service of the anointed.
Or sovereign, apparently.
Oh.
Apparently they're closely connected, those two words as well. Sovereign and anointed. So obviously you probably know a bit more about anointed. It's to do with the holy water here, isn't it? And the bread in the mouth, is that right?
Within the church, yes.
And that's the Roman Catholic Church, I presume.
Yes.
But I think what people don't realise is that Mass is also a magic ritual for acknowledging or worshipping the dead.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if Catholics are aware of that.
Oh, definitely not.
No.
I mean, as a little girl, I can remember sitting in Mass and thinking, they hold up the Eucharist and they say, "This is my body, eat it." They hold up the chalice and they say, "This is my blood, drink it." And then everyone queues up and has their communion. And I remember thinking as a very small girl,
this is a bit weird.
Why are we eating his body and drinking his blood? And and talking to my mum about it, and it was like, well, it's the way of they justify it by saying that's the way of taking, taking Christ in you, or having the Holy Spirit, what they call the Holy Spirit in you. But the symbolism is incredibly satanic and dark. It's basically
drinking blood.
Well, it's basically
eating somebody.
Cannibalism.
Yeah, it's like
So and spirit is not matter. So why would you
consume it?
Yeah. So it's all very dark. I found it dark.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
Yeah.
So Christmas also has a bit of a sexual connotation or symbolism, if you like. So if we look at the abbreviation of Christmas, which is the
X.
I'm going to take this off.
Are you getting hot now, love?
Flustered. The X and the mus. So the letter X sounds a little bit like sex. Doesn't it? And adult movies, they're
X-rated.
rated X, aren't they? X-rated. So in Latin, the adjective word mass means manly, virile, brave, noble, or masculine. So Christmas not only celebrates the Son, as in S-O-N, the Son of God, the Son, S-U-N, and Jesus, but also male sexuality and dominance. So once you know that light, Jesus, the Son, represents order, power, and the conscious mind attributed to the divine masculine energy. Now, we don't really talk about masculine energy, do we?
No. So what you're saying is it's like a festival to celebrate the masculine energy.
The masculine energy. But we hear about feminine divine energy a lot, don't we?
Yeah, but although I feel that the feminine divine has been massively corrupted.
Oh yeah, it's another like psyop almost, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's the divinity between the two is imbalanced.
Yeah. So basically, the relationship between sex and Christmas dates back to obviously the Roman holidays and the Roman Catholics. They had a holiday called Saturnalia, which is interesting, isn't it? So the word Saturn, we kind of know that connects to various things. So historians reported a week-long festival in honour of the god Saturn, and it was celebrated around the winter solstice, but there's no exact date.
Okay.
All the courts were closed down, and Roman citizens were allowed to do anything, as it was considered a period of lawlessness.
Because let's face it, the Romans used to have big orgies, didn't they? And they used to have big feasts where they would literally eat and drink and then throw up and then start again. So it was
quite
real
gluttony,
excessive indulgence. So I wonder whether that was what they did in that week.
Did. Well, an ancient Greek writer-poet by just the name of Lucian, he wrote a dialogue about this Saturnalia.
Yeah.
And he describes the festival's observance in his time. So in addition to human sacrifice, he mentions these customs: widespread intoxication, going from house to house while singing naked, rape and other sexual license, and consuming human-shaped biscuits, which I presume are gingerbread men. I presume. I think that's what they must mean, because they said they're still produced in some English and most German bakeries. So
Yeah, that's
That's
got to be a
gingerbread man, isn't it?
man. Yeah, my son used to love those.
bit dry.
I don't really like ginger, if I'm honest.
No.
I like
and
it
they're a bit
savoury, like ginger root in
just a
curries
bit
and
like-
that, but
No.
no.
Don't like those.
I like a chocolate biscuit, me.
I just like a whole pack of chocolate biscuits. I just like chocolate in general. So the letter X, we'll continue with that. So it's the 24th letter of our alphabet. So possibly related to Christmas Eve. And then Y is the 25th letter of the alphabet. So both of these could represent the X and the Y chromosome, which is why they chose the 24th and the 25th.
Yeah.
So all males and females have 23 sets of chromosomes. 22 of them are identical in both sexes. The 23rd pair are the sex chromosomes.
Okay.
And in the male, they have an X and a Y. And in the females, they have two X's.
Okay.
Okay, so that's just a connection there to the
Yeah.
the letters of the alphabet
Yeah.
and the dates.
Yeah.
So then the word chromosome, so we break that down. So chromo is Greek and it means colour. And soma, which is in chromosome, is Greek as well, and that means body. So the DNA and body of man are made of different colours or frequency bands, just like the colours of the chakras. This is why men and women are called human. Phonetically, it sounds like human, as in H-U-E.
A hue of colour.
So hue is defined as a graduation or variety of colour or a tint.
So, oh wow, I never knew that about the word human. It refers
Yeah,
perhaps
the
to
hue,
the
auras
chakra
and
system,
our auras,
the
maybe.
aura. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Oh, we are getting wooey.
It is a bit wooey. So connecting the dots, now we're going to connect this to the Christmas tree and evergreen trees with lights and gifts and what have you. So it basically symbolises the sacred changes that happen in the physical body during Christmas. Symbolically, the lights represent the colours of DNA and the chakras. Because remember back in the day, they used to be red, blue, yellow. Now they make them all clear, don't they, and white. But
Oh
do you
yeah,
remember
when
back
I was
when you
a
were a
little
kid?
girl, they were always
Red,
multicoloured.
yeah. Well, the same as the chakra colours.
Yeah.
The green, the red, the yellow, and the blue.
It's red, orange, yellow, green, pale blue, purple.
Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently it was those lights that represent the colours of the DNA and the chakras. Now the tree itself represents the spine and the holy oil. I'll talk a little bit more about the holy oil in a minute because it's a bit complicated. So, and also the Christmas tree is also known as the tree of life.
Yes.
So the spine connects to the skull, which houses the pineal gland, which is located either side of our temples, which is interesting. So perhaps it's referring to the fact that the kingdom of God is located
It's
inside the head.
It's your it's your consciousness.
Yeah, it's your consciousness. So the pineal gland is shaped like a pine cone, hence the name Pine,
Pine,
pine, and then AL at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
And pine is also connected to the word spine. So if you remove the S from spine, you get left with the word pine. And the letter S symbolically represents the spine. It just does.
The curve.
So yeah, it's
of
just,
the
people will
shape.
use that to, if they were going to draw, and of course, so the spine connects the skull, which has the pineal gland. So pine trees are traditionally used as they're symbolic of the spine, which is the structure that connects to the skull. And that structure is the holy temple that homes the pineal gland, your kingdom of the temple of God. Put into sort of like, trying to put it into simple words, because it's quite confusing, but did that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what the Christmas tree represents, and the pine cones and everything. It's connected to our...
Oh, of course, because they would decorate them with
Yeah,
pine
so it's
cones.
almost connected to our energetic force.
Well, all of our all of the colours and everything relating to our it's all to do
Not
with
our
our
physical
energy
form, it's to
system.
do with our energetic,
It's to do with the energy again.
Very interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it? So Santa Claus, let's have a look at that word.
Yeah.
So we all know it's an anagram of Satan.
Yeah.
But I have to say, my name backwards is Satan, which is a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Well, no, because we just say it forward all
Yeah,
the time.
don't say my name backwards. So it's an anagram of Satan, which we know. So red represents the devil, but it's worth being aware that Santa Claus used to wear green because it was representing paganism worshipping. And then in 1931, Coca-Cola copied the idea from someone called Thomas Nast, and he basically had him in the red cloak, and it's stuck with us ever since.
I knew that Santa was originally wearing green, but I didn't know why. So it was that lovely Coca-Cola company. It's done so much good for us and our planet. Yeah.
Basically, they hijacked him and turned him into this sort of fat, joyous, far more less of a saint kind of character, more into a
cuddly granddad type vibe.
The one that we sort of see now. So the word Santa, he represents the principle of light, good. Satan, he represents the principle of darkness and evil. So I was saying at the beginning about it being polarity.
Yeah.
And
the light and the dark.
Yeah, so both are kind of
both covered there.
Present in that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Santa, Latin for saint, derived from another Latin word, sanctus, meaning holy or consecrated.
Yeah, sacred. Yeah.
This bit gets a bit confusing. So this goes back to the holy oil. I'm going to try my hardest. I will have to probably read my notes. Okay. So the word claus comes from the word, I pronounce it claustrum, but it might be claustrum.
Oh, colostrum.
It's not from the breast milk.
Oh, no. Okay, sorry. Yeah, claustrum. I don't know
how I'd pronounce it, but claustrum. That sounds posh. I'm going to call it claustrum because it comes out my gob easier. So, claustrum. So it's basically a thin bilateral sheet in the cerebral cortex of the brain.
Right.
It's derived from the Latin word claude, meaning hidden away or enclosed. And a fluid does run through this structure, and it's known as claustrum oil. And it's interesting that to this date, nobody knows what this part of the brain is for. It's still known as a mystery.
So they haven't sussed out what this oil is, why the body produces it, what it's used for.
And just that area of the brain. I think it's 0.25%, so 0.25% part of that part of the brain. It's a very small area of the brain.
But we don't use all of our brain, do we? No. I know that we use about 30% of our brain. So I've always wondered, what's the other 70%
Yeah,
for?
what is it?
Why have we got it? Yeah.
So
there's a special oil in the brain in there that nobody really knows.
But it's an oil, but also claustrum it's a bilateral sheet as well of like
membrane,
cerebral,
like a membrane.
Perhaps, yeah. I think it's like leaf shaped, like a leaf, like that. I think.
Right,
yeah, I think so.
Sounds pretty.
So Santa Claus can be interpreted as holy oil. So the word Santa Claus, we could say, means holy oil. So this oil flows up and down the spinal cord and spreads to other parts of the body. The spinal cord is protected by the spine, which is symbolically the chimney, which is used for the holy oil to travel up and down, basically.
So, sorry to interrupt. Is it a bit like the because there's that stuff, isn't there, around the brain that, what's it called?
Well, that's like fluid, cerebrum fluid.
Yeah, because
that they sometimes drain off people who have too much.
Yeah. What's that called? I've forgotten the name of it.
I think it's just.
Is it just cerebral fluid?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, some people just have a build up of it, and they'll have little pockets in their brains, and they need to have it drained off.
So the oil is in that, maybe in that fluid.
I don't know how much of this. I mean, I'll read so it needs to travel. So it goes up and down what they call a chimney, which symbolically is perhaps the chimney that Father Christmas uses, which is the spine.
Yeah.
And then once this oil reaches the pineal gland, it's believed to interact with the Kundalini energy, which lights and activates the optic thalamus, causing it to be an all-seeing or illuminated. So causing it to be, this thalamus causing it to be all-seeing or illuminated.
I mean, the Kundalini is, obviously that's a woo-y thing. Again, it's a spiritual
and quite
thing.
yogic as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a lot of yoga, you can activate your Kundalini, but sometimes it just happens. But that, in my understanding of it, is symbolised by two snakes that come from the root, your bottom chakra, and they pass each other and they go through each chakra, and then when they come up to here, and then it gets to this part, they cross and open out, so they make a chalice, and then that fills with spiritual knowledge from
the crown chakra.
Yeah, so if you have a Kundalini, it's a massive sort of upgrade in your spiritual knowledge. So
looking at that, so it can be used by the Illuminati or the dark forces to represent their secret society, this sort of third eye, this this energy. That's obviously on the dollar bill as an example of it. But it's also found in the Bible. I'm just going to read one verse, I promise. And it's Matthew 6:26. So the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. How great is that darkness? So that's quite...
So he must be talking about the third eye.
Yeah.
And basically saying you can either be filled with light or you can be filled with darkness. Depending on where your consciousness is at, really.
So it's said that Santa Claus, right, this is metaphorically now how we can look at it, that Santa Claus visits to give the children a sacred gift of holy oil, which is also called, I think it's ichor. I think that goes throughout it's a golden oil, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know much about it, which has the potential to give eternal life. However, if a child has been naughty or badly behaved, Santa becomes Satan and diminishes your life by not supplying the oil and giving coal, therefore decreasing your life force energy. And by doing this, it represents your lifestyle or your immoral behaviour, which turns this oil into coal, which is why they come up with this. If you're a naughty girl or boy, you get coal. Yeah.
You don't get presents.
You get coal rather than presents. And it's also interesting, so St. Nicholas, which is another terminology for Father Christmas or Santa Claus, the word Nick translates as the devil as well.
Because, I mean, that's a story that they use, isn't it? Oh, it started up because this great chap called Nicholas went off and bought these presents for these poor children and blah, blah, blah. But we don't know if that's true.
No, it's another story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another story.
So we could just talk a little bit about other things connected to Christmas. So the star. So symbolically, the star on the top of the pine tree is the optic thalamus, which is the all-seeing eye, or the mind's eye. When opened, it acts as a conduit, allowing connection to your Christ or God consciousness. When used correctly, the eye of Horus can lead to true enlightenment. But here's a little bit that I've got off the internet from freemasonry.com explaining what the star represents.
So this is the Freemason.
This is Freemason, yeah.
Our favourite people.
Our wonderful people. So, within the craft degrees, the figure of the pentagram may also be seen in the image of the five-rayed blazing star. According to Albert Pike, the pentagram is synonymous with the blazing star of Masonic lodges. The blazing star in our lodges, we have already said, represents Sirius, Anubis, or Mercury. If I said that right, Anubis, or Mercury, guardian and guide of souls. Our ancient English brethren also consider it an emblem of the sun. In the old lectures, they said, the blazing star or glory in the centre refers us to that grand luminary, the sun, which enlightens the earth and by its genial influence dispenses blessings to mankind. It also said in those lectures to be an emblem of prudence. The word prudentia means, in its original and fullest signification, foresight, and according to the blazing star, has been regarded as an emblem of omniscience, or the all-seeing eye. Omniscience, or the all-seeing eye, which to the ancients was the sun. So...
Because, I mean, we're kind of giving it the star as if it was the star that the three kings followed, blah-de-blah.
But then also not forgetting the pentagram, I can't speak today, the pentagram star also represents human, doesn't it? So the head, the two arms.
And the legs.
And it also represents the five senses as well. However, the work of somebody called, I think he was called...
Oh, gosh, how would you...
Flippers Levi.
Is that FL?
I think so, unless I can't read my writing.
Fliffers
Levi. The work of Fliffers Levi, he inverted the star, representing the two horns at the top and the beard at the bottom of Baphomet.
Yeah.
And this is used in the ever-growing secret society called the Order of the Eastern Star. And this is one that's open to both male and females. It's like a subdivision of Freemasonry. And also in the inner pentagram that they use, in the inner area of the logo, it spells the word fatal within that secret thingy. which is a bit weird, isn't
Oh,
it?
that's horrible.
A bit creepy.
Very dark.
Very dark. So baubles.
Oh.
I hate baubles. Although actually, they make me ill if someone gets them out of a box like from last year. And I put them away.
Put your baubles away.
Put those baubles
I don't want
away.
to see your baubles.
I don't like them. Oh, and they're all so... Ugh. Anyway, so when the Romans invaded Northern Europe, they were resisted very, very heavily by the Germanians, so the Germans, that would have been. And this were like a very strong warrior group. And what they'd do is they'd decapitate the Roman soldiers' heads with the
Helmet.
with the helmets intact, and they'd hang them from evergreen pines.
Oh, is that where it comes from?
Yeah, to warn of areas of so demarcation, so like areas that they kind of shown that they'd
So they're
won that bit
saying,
of the
like,
battle.
here are the heads.
Yeah, this is now our sort of like land. And then this tradition continued by hanging baubles from trees. And apparently it was Prince Albert in 1841, he brought the tradition of Christmas trees and baubles into the royal palaces.
And Prince Albert was a bit of a weirdo, wasn't he?
Very strange. He probably had a fanny, to be fair.
Wow. I thought he started up the piercing, the Prince Albert
Did he?
ring on the...
Oh, is that where the name comes from?
Yes.
Oh.
He had one of them.
Did he now?
Well, they were...
He was
they-
ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Well, I think they were a bit...
Kinky.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a bit strange,
I mean,
weren't
they had a lot of kids, didn't they?
Yes,
they
lots
were
and lots
obviously
of kids.
at
And she
it.
hated being pregnant, apparently, didn't she?
I think she hated her children.
She
by all
hated everything. She
accounts.
just hated life, didn't
She
she?
just hated everything but him and his piercing.
And it's Albert.
Yeah.
It's Prince Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently he brought that over. So, what was another one? Oh, stockings.
yeah.
Stockings. So, St. Nicholas, back to that old chap again.
Yeah.
He allegedly heard about 3 sisters who were forced into prostitution for money because they were absolutely destitute. They didn't want to be. They weren't willing prostitutes. You know, they were forced into it.
Do you think there are such things as willing prostitutes, or do you think
I think some people, yeah.
some people like it?
People like, yeah, I think they do. I think some people love it. Think about a lot of what goes on with these people who like to do weird stuff. I think, yeah, definitely. I think some people, it's, yeah, game on, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, forced prostitution. So he apparently felt very sorry for them, and he decided to throw 3 golden coins down their chimney as a gift, which happened to land in the girls' stockings, which were hanging to dry, drawing heat
by
from
the
the
fire.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could say hanging stockings on the mantelpiece is kind of symbolic of prostitution. Yeah.
And if you think about it, when you go to lap dancing clubs and things like that, they often stick the money in your stocking.
In the top of the stocking, don't they?
Or in your, undies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does what we've spoken about kind of represent the darker side of things? I think that trying to put it into something that makes sense. So the false or external version of Christmas, which is what we were talking about, the consumerism, the Father Christmas, the connection to the Bible, as basically that by engaging in that, we're being tricked into giving our holy oil to them, if you like.
Yeah.
They are energetically taking...
Energy
Harvesting,
harvesting
yeah.
again.
harvesting basically, yeah, the forces, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the holy oil is associated with ascension as well. And this is a time when the dark energy trick people, allowing their corporations and agents to harvest people's energy,
So they can't
turning them
ascend.
into biological batteries to power the artificial matrix.
Which again, I mean, when we've looked at all of these other words in other areas, it always comes back to us being seen as energy or a unit of energy.
A cell,
Yeah,
battery.
and we have our corpus, which is our body, our the strawman corporation. But what they actually then own is the energy.
The energetic side of humanity.
And with Christmas, there's a lot of sacred stuff and sort of like the lights, our energy system, our chakra system, the kundalini, the opening of the eye, the anointing. It's all detracting it away from the light and bringing it into this kind of festival that they've set up.
Yeah, it's like the external saviour program is like the whole believing in Jesus and the Bible or what have you, that the Messiah will come down and he'll descend from the clouds and he'll take those who have been chosen
He'll
back
save
up
us
to
all.
heaven. No, only the chosen ones.
Only
isn't
the
it?
chosen
It's
ones.
only the chosen
Only
ones.
the ones
I mean,
that
that is a psychological operation in
itself.
isn't it? In itself. So that, like I think you said to me before, it also creates that barrier, be it a priest, be it the Messiah, that stops you from
having your own
with
connection.
your own consciousness.
Yeah.
With
They always make, every religion is corrupted by man, and they always put a middleman in there, whether it's
An
a
obstacle.
priest, an imam, or a
Like an
rabbi.
obstacle,
It's an
basically,
obstacle. You
yeah.
cannot go direct to God. You have to
Yeah.
go through this person, when actually what we should be doing is having a direct connection.
yeah, and remembering God is within our temples.
Yes.
And
It's in there.
it's life source, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
basically our life source. So basically the whole, the Bible, it's a story, it's a psyop, and it's been created. So at first
By the Romans.
Yeah. So at first you just basically had the religious people, but then I guess back in the day we were a lot more religious as a country and as a world, weren't we? Lots of people practice these religions.
Yeah.
So these people were, by doing it this way, were giving their consent for the darkness to harvest your energy.
Yeah.
Because they were willingly
Because they were joining
participating in these sort of festivals. And of course nowadays it's so
Right.
consumery, and even like people who don't have any affiliation to God or any of it, they are also. So pretty much, if you think about it, the 25th, everybody, even like people from different faiths who live in like Western world now still celebrate Christmas, and probably even if you went to the United Emirates or whatever it's called there, I bet you there'd be places there that celebrate full on Christmas. There'll be Christmas decorations, and there will be people celebrating it, won't there? It's become a worldwide day of just
sucking in all of our beautiful energy. And
and
bearing in
we've
mind,
given consent because we are doing it willingly. It's nothing.
We're
participating.
taking, and bear in mind that Jesus, if you're gonna get like that about him, he wasn't even born then.
Do you know when he was born?
Yeah, because when the reason you can work it out historically is that there was the census that Mary and Joseph were travelling to sign. It was a census set up by King Herod or whoever he was. And so they were travelling. That's why they couldn't find anywhere to stay, because everyone had flocked there to register, because they didn't have any internet in those days, Tash.
Apparently they did, though, didn't they?
And if you look back, there's a historian, Cicero. He's a very good historian to look at. He documented a lot of the stuff that was going on just from a historical point of view, and that census took place in September, October.
Ah, there we go.
So we know that he was not born at that time. So we know that the whole thing has been constructed, and now we know why.
I mean, and also think about churches and religion. They're all repurposed, because we know that their original things are their energy control centres, aren't they, or energy power stations for electromagnetic energy. So all cathedrals, churches, they're nothing to do with religion. They are 100% repurposed.
Yeah, and they were, in this country anyway, a lot of them were built on Celtic sacred sites. In other words, ley lines, power spots. So when they came over and killed all the Celtic shaman and whatnot, they took away their sacred spaces and built their churches on there. So they're on PowerPoints. You go in, you join in, and then your energy is.
But I mean, the churches though, and everything were built in Tartarian times, which predates all of that again. So the theory is that these churches now, they're thousands and so much older
than we've been told.
Yeah, like way older, and they've nothing whatsoever to do
with
religion or God.
We should do one. We should
Tartarian
do,
one.
Because the Tartarian age is kind of just. I'm just learning about it now. It was something that I hadn't been aware of before.
Fascinating stuff.
Very fascinating.
And how there was a big disaster of some sort, possibly like mud floods.
Yeah.
Because if you look at lots of houses, you can see where basements are. You'll see that they go much further underground, and all the front doors are all repurposed, and the steps going up to them. And you'll find these cities that have got these amazing cathedrals, or quite small towns that might have 7 or 8 churches, or a big cathedral. They will have all of these houses, which a big part of them is under the ground. So they think there was some, and they think the churches, which is why they've got the underground bits as well, a lot of it was to do with the fact that the cathedrals were much, much bigger, and the mud floods covered it up to a certain level. Yeah.
So we're just seeing the very top of the building.
We're seeing the tops of the buildings, and they go out, and they've always generally got these 3 windows at the front, and that's all to do with the electromagnetic energy. Yeah, it's fascinating. So we should do
one on that, on the architecture as well, and the energy.
So they'd have had all copper tops on, all of them, because that would have been the conductor.
They were like power stations.
They were power
really,
stations,
weren't they?
Yeah. And then if you look at all of the structures, all these bits, they would have all been probably copper or some kind of
Conductive.
conductive stuff. Yeah.
So would they be drawing energy from?
Yeah, so the electromagnetism from the earth, from source.
And then you don't need electricity, do you, Tash?
No, you don't.
No, you don't have to pay your electric bill then.
Don't need gas and electricity because it's all free.
Yes.
Anyway, that's for another one.
Well, thank you very much, Tasha, for that. That was very interesting and also a lot deeper and more.
It's quite hard for me to not get my head around, but to put it out in a way that wasn't too confusing or overwhelming.
No, I think what we're realising is that, you know, I feel as if we've been brought up or culturally conditioned to believe that we're just physical. And I think the more digging we do on these things, the more we realise that we are energy.
And it's the energetic.
And it's the energy that they want. And
it's that energetic being that they crave and they want us to not know about. That's why everything's been hidden.
And that's why all the focus is on the material, the body, not
what we're really about.
Yes.
What it's all really about. And that's why they've done this whole plan, and that's why we don't really know who we are.
Yeah.
Period.
And I feel as if our consciousness has always been hidden from us. You know, if you're into it and you, like I've been, you know, when I was younger, I just get teased, laughed at, ridiculed.
Yeah, that's what they did. They did that though. That was all
to
part
stop
of
you from exploring your consciousness and, you know, put an emphasis on the energy rather than the physical of who you are.
Yeah, exactly
is laughed at.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's quite nice for me to hear this stuff and to know that actually what I've been into has just been unearthing what we should all know.
We should all know, yeah. It's just being repressed by by the matrix that we're living in.
Yeah.
By the false reality that we're living in, isn't it? Basically, this
it's just
whatever
everything
it is.
to take us away from the truth, which is that we're energy, we're really powerful, we're the
Very
creators.
powerful.
That's why they want our energy, because then they create with it. It's just oh, it's so awful. But we're taking it down, aren't we, Tash?
Get in there.
Word by word.
Yeah, word by word. We'll decipher the lot of it.
Yes, we will. We'll uncover it and share it with you guys. Are we done then for today?
Yeah, I think so.
We are. So, should we do one next week? Just one more before Christmas?
Yeah.
And then we might have a little week off or something, might we?
Sure, a week off.
We might have a week off.
And also, if anyone's got any idea for content,
if you want to make any suggestions.
Oh, what we should quickly say is, remember we talked about the Freemasonry and the Book of Law.
Oh, yeah.
So the Book of Law is written by none other than Aleister Crowley. Who obviously set up the Church of Satan. Yeah. So I just thought we'd put that bit in there because we didn't know at the time.
And there is a vid that I put up in March, I think it was, because I've spent about 2.5 years taking down loads of Aleister Crowley shit in this town, all coming from the lodge here. But I can't remember the name of that video. I think it might...
Put it in the link. We'll put it in the link, shall we?
Yeah.
Put it below and then they can link into it.
Yeah, I think it was March time I finished that job.
Yeah.
But I worked on that for about 2 years. So, yeah. Anyway, enough of my woo and enough of Tasha's, you know...
Gobbledygook.
Well, no, it's very deep research and we appreciate it. Have a lovely week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.